You're listening to the Kirkintilloch Herald, a Q&A review recording service podcast, brought to you by our team of volunteers currently recording from their homes across Scotland. Whether you're listening via the BWBF online players, the telephone app, or our brand new Alexa skill, please phone us on 0141 772 3976 to feedback on what you want us to provide and improve upon. Please also join your family and friends in being our audio ambassadors and share our Facebook, Twitter and Instagram all at Q&A Review. That's at symbol CUEANDREVIEW.
The Kirkintilloch Herald podcast, date 20th of July 2022, is read to you by Hunter, Alan, Corey and me, Ian. Land safeguarded for new station. Report by Liz Gallagher. Land will continue to be safeguarded for a potential new train station at Bishopbriggs. A plan outlining the future use of land in East Dunbartonshire has been examined by the Scottish Government and is now ready to progress to its final stage. The proposed Local Development Plan 2, LDP2, submitted to Scottish Ministers in June 2021, provides a guide to land use throughout East Dunbartonshire and will be used to determine further planning applications. Overall, the report has endorsed the Council's proposed development strategy and has agreed there is enough land supply for housing, meaning there is no requirement to release further green belt land at this time. It has also strongly supported the Council's approach to sustainability and tackling climate change. The reporter made a number of recommendations and observations. They included agreement to continue to safeguard land for a potential new station and associated railway infrastructure at Allenster at Bearsden and Westerhill at Bishopbriggs. Modifications to the Council's approach to wheelchair and accessible housing and the requirement for a percentage of units on sites close to town and village centres to be provided as smaller housing. Support for the continued safeguarding of Strathkelvin Retail Park as primarily a comparison goods retail destination and protection for the vital role of town centres. Technical changes to reflect planning application decisions since the plan was prepared, including adding the Crofthead site in Bishopbriggs to the plan, which was approved at Planning Board in March 2022. Council Leader Gordon Lowe said, "The LDP2 is essential to the future of East Dunbartonshire for our environment, living standards and economy. We are pleased the reporters have supported our strategy and agreed it is in line with the national planning policy. We particularly welcome the reporter's strong support towards our approach to sustainability and climate change, which is a crucial element of the plan. The reporter has concluded that the plan can maintain a 5-year effective land supply to meet social housing need while protecting our greenbelt." And that article was read to you today by me, Ian.
McDougall's to make a splash. The McDougals are set to splash in Bishopbriggs next week with a brand new stage show for all the family. Wave hello to Max, Auntie Aggie and Morag the Rabbit and swim deep under the sea for an enchanting adventure as Big Splash comes to the Fort Theatre on Friday, July the 29th. Something fishy is going on in the mystical underwater kingdom and the mermaids and deep-sea creatures need help. Join the McDougals on a quest for the precious pearl as they save the sea from plastic litter, escape the pesky piranha and end up rocking out at the rock and roll pool. Auntie Aggie said, "We can't wait to visit Bishopbriggs and hope family audiences will love our underwater adventure." This hour-long spectacular stage show is packed with seaside-themed sing-along songs such as "A Sailor Went to Sea" and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is sure to be a magical day out for youngsters up to age 8 and their families. Children and even grown-ups are encouraged to come dressed as their favourite sea creature and join in the fun-filled afternoon. The show starts at 1 p.m. and tickets costing £9 or £34 for a family of 4 are available by visiting www.ticketsource.co.uk. Find out more about this musical extravaganza packed with audience participation and musical mayhem, plus the latest news and offers by following the McDougals on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter.
It's time for democracy. Report by Brian Newell. Strathkelvin and Bearsden MSP Rona Mackay has warned Westminster politicians they cannot continue to ignore democracy, as the second in the series of papers on independence was published by the Scottish Government. The latest paper, titled Renewing Democracy Through Independence, outlines how Scotland's voice has been ignored at key points in recent decades. This includes the failure to invest North Sea oil and gas revenues like other neighbouring nations did, to the crippling decade of Conservative austerity and delivering a hard Brexit that Scotland overwhelmingly rejected. The paper also shows where the Scottish Parliament has taken decisions within the limited powers it currently has. It has delivered transformative change. This includes policies like the Scottish child payment, minimum unit pricing, and being one of the first nations in the world to provide free period products. Ms Mackay said, "This latest paper bears where when decisions are made by Westminster, it's the people of Strathkelvin and Bearsden that lose out. Hundreds of billions in oil revenue squandered by the UK Treasury, a crippling decade of Tory austerity, and the economic and social disaster that is Brexit is the legacy of Westminster control faced by families here. Decisions about Scotland should be taken by those who live here, not by politicians we don't vote for or unelected lords. That's why Scotland needs independence, and Westminster politicians cannot continue to stand in the way of the democratic right of people to choose a better future. There will soon come a time when the opposition will have to engage in the substance of the independence argument. It will be then for them to explain why Westminster control would be better than the full powers of independence, where Scotland takes her own decisions." First Minister Nicola Sturgeon added, "The democratic deficit in Scotland is not a recent phenomenon, but the evidence of it now is starker than ever. That is why offering Scotland the choice of independence, a policy mandated by the Scottish people, is so essential."
Disrupting the cycles. Legal Services Agency has launched a new project to help prevent prisoners at HMP Low Moss becoming homeless and potentially reoffending following their release. Disrupting cycles of disadvantage, early intervention in homelessness is being funded by the homeless charity St Martin in the Fields for 3 years. Legal services authorities will work with individuals and their families within a few weeks of their imprisonment and leading up to their release to establish their legal and other support needs. Caroline Love, Communications Officer at Legal Service Agency, said, "Around 40,000 people become homeless in Scotland each year, and those who encounter the criminal justice system are more likely to experience homelessness. Finding little to no person-centred support to understand their circumstances, they are more likely to become trapped in cycles of homelessness and be exposed to circumstances which can lead to reoffending. The likelihood of this increases where there are other aggravating factors such as mental ill health, disabilities, alcohol and/or substance abuse, and neurodiversity, as diagnoses are frequently missed and adequate healthcare is often not provided. We aim to challenge this inequality in our society by providing support to people detained in HMP Greenock and Low Moss. We will work with individuals and their families within a few weeks of their custody into prison and in the 6 to 8 weeks leading to their release to establish their specific legal and other support needs. By providing tailored legal advice and representation, we will empower the people we work with to understand their housing options and to navigate legal processes, enabling them to make informed decisions. We are grateful to the St Martin in the Fields charity Frontline Fund for the opportunity to help people who have found themselves in a vulnerable position to retain or obtain a safe place in which they feel at home. We are confident through providing legal representation, improving accessibility to legal advice, and providing specialist referrals for their appropriate services together, we can make a difference. Read by Alan Todd.
Theft of bicycles. The police in East Dunbartonshire have received a small number of reports regards the theft of bicycles over the past couple of weeks. This includes a blue propane Spindrift with orange and black lettering pedal cycle being stolen in Lennoxtown, following a housebreaking. A police spokesperson said, "Please ensure bikes are locked and secured, including sheds and garages. Please also give thought to restricting who can view your cycle apps, including hiding the start end of your cycle." Meanwhile, the community policing team in East Dunbartonshire, along with Police Scotland dogs, have executed a number of warrants resulting in drugs and cash being seized. Officers have also worked with partners at HM Prison Low Moss to deter visitors from committing criminality. Presbytery clerk gets appointed, as recorded by Hunter MacDonald. The Reverend Dr. Grant Barclay has been appointed as Presbytery clerk for the Presbytery of Glasgow. Dr. Barclay has been acting as an interim clerk and has been involved with church administration for some time. He has previously served on the Board of Practice and Procedure and convened the Council of Assembly. Dr. Barclay is currently convener of the Legal Questions Committee and was appointed as a Queen's Chaplain in May this year. Married to Karen and with 3 grown-up children, he trained and worked as a solicitor before entering the ministry. Dr. Barclay studied at New College, Edinburgh, and then served for over 20 years in St Kentigern's Church, Kilmarnock, before becoming minister in Orchard Hill Church, Giffnock. In his spare time, he enjoys walking and is developing through necessity an interest in gardening, finding that his cycling dovetails well with the delight of meeting friends for coffee. Dr. Barclay is excited about taking up the post of Presbytery clerk. He said, "While there is a deal of administration, the work is much more about supporting colleagues in ministry and congregations all across the Presbytery of Glasgow. In these demanding times, I see it as a ministry to provide advice and enable processes which help us decide well and follow through with faithful action. Working with the Presbytery office staff has been a great help in the past year, and I am delighted to be part of a team committed to helping our congregations." Outrage over the proposed licence fee for short lets. A Kirkintilloch man has hit out at the licence fees East Dunbartonshire Council is planning to introduce for short-term lets. The Council is carrying out a consultation on a draft policy after new Scottish Government legislation compelled all local authorities to introduce licences. All short-term lets require to be licensed by April 1st, 2024, and councils must be able to accept applications by October 1st this year. Under the proposals, owners of properties such as those let on Airbnb would be required to pay between £250 and £650 to get a 3-year licence. In neighbouring Glasgow, fees are set to be between £125 and £400. Robert Walker faces having to pay £500 to get their licence. He said, "I use my home for Airbnb to supplement our pensions, and we are super hosts with consistently outstanding reviews and have never had any complaints. Now for the privilege of using my own home to welcome visitors, I am to be charged £500. This will increase the cost to visitors, or more likely will mean we withdraw from doing Airbnb. I know there is a problem in, say, Edinburgh, where properties are bought solely to use for short-term lets, but there is no such problem in Kirkintilloch and no evidence of problems or complaints. I believe that those using their own home for short-term lets should not be included in this costly scheme. To make your views known, visit www.eastdunbarton.gov.uk/short-term-lets-consultation.
Standards hearing for McElroy. A former councillor is facing a standards hearing following allegations about his conduct at a Glasgow City Council meeting. Martin McElroy, who represented Springburn Rob Royston until earlier this year, has been called to a hearing at the City Chambers on September 13th. It is believed the complaint relates to a virtual full council meeting held ahead of the Scottish Government elections last year. The former councillor said he was unable to discuss the allegations ahead of the hearing, but insisted suggestions that concerned a political image appearing in the background of his screen during the meeting were not correct. At the time, Mr McElroy was standing as the Labour candidate for Glasgow Provan. Parts of a recording of that meeting have since been moved from the Council's webcast library, but during the meeting the Lord Provost at the time, Philip Bratt, warned councillors members can leave themselves exposed to being referred to the Standards Commission. He later added, "Whatever you say during this pre-election period can have consequences, so please be careful of what you say and show on screen. We cannot have anything that favours one specific political party in the run-up to the election, I'm afraid to say. Those are the rules, not my rules. Those are the national rules in respect to the pre-election period." The recording of the meeting also shows Mr McElroy apologising to anybody who that background may have offended. "It wasn't my intention," he added. The Standards Commission has decided to hold a hearing in relation to the complaint and will rule on whether the Councillor's Code of Conduct has been breached. If it is decided Mr McElroy did breach the code, the Commission will choose the appropriate sanction, including censure, suspension and disqualification. Complaints against elected members are investigated by the Commissioner for Ethical Standards and Public Life in Scotland, who reports to the Standard Commission. The Commissioner will present evidence at the hearing, and councillors are entitled to attend or be represented.
Targeted by trolls. Report by Sarah Ward. The mum of a murdered teen told how she had been targeted by internet trolls who sent death threats to her other kids. Pamela Monroe from Bishopbriggs lost daughter Paige Doherty in 2016 when she was knifed to death at the age of 15 by John Latham in his Clydebank deli. The mum of 7 received depraved anonymous messages saying her other children should kill themselves, and another calling for her family to be murdered on the Facebook page of a charity she set up, Paige's Promise, in her daughter's memory. The charity runs self-defence classes and offers holidays to bereaved families. Pamela said, "The messages my family receive on a regular basis are horrific. I've been told my kids are ugly, that they should be hit by a bus, that they deserve to die like Paige. Anytime I post an update on my daughter's charity page, I receive a string of dreadful messages about myself or my children. The comments come from anonymous accounts and can't be identified easily. As a family, we've been through so much since Paige was taken from us. I don't know why any right-thinking person would set to try and cause hurt to people who have already been through so much. We just want the messaging to stop for good. I tell my kids to ignore them and rise above them, but of course they are young and what they read has a terrible impact. We're a strong family and this won't break us, but it is incredibly difficult to cope with. I want to see tougher new laws introduced to catch and punish the people who send abuse online. Right now, it's far too easy to hide behind a computer screen and be unaccountable for what you write. It's about time something was done to introduce a proper deterrent. If people knew they were going to face the full weight of the law, they would think twice before hitting the send button. Things have to change. There must be better ways of protecting victims of crime and holding these people to account, and punishing them when their identities are discovered. Social media companies themselves need to look at better ways of policing their platforms. She recently welcomed baby Kylo, aged 1, and said the family will make sure he knows about his big sister. Pamela added, "Paige would have loved Kylo. She was such a caring girl and would have loved being a big sister and watching her siblings grow up. But we were all robbed of that by Latham. We'll make sure he grows up knowing just how special his big sister was." West of Scotland List MSP Russell Finlay, who's also the Shadow Community Safety Minister, said, "No family should have to suffer such poison, and I would urge Police Scotland to do whatever it can to identify those responsible and bring them to justice, which would surely deter others." A spokesperson from Police Scotland added, "If you become aware of anyone acting illegally or behaving in a threatening way online, report it to the police." Scouting for Friendships. Warm welcome for Jamboree. Report by Julie Curry. Scouts from around the world have received the warmest of welcomes at the International Scout Camp in Scotland, which runs from July the 18th to 29th. More than 1,300 scouts made their way to Blair Athol in Perthshire from around the world to take part in the 38th Scottish International Patrol, Jamboree and Satellite Camp, the only scout camp of its kind in the world. Held in the grounds of Blair Castle, the event, more commonly known as the Blair Athol Jamboree, is the world's oldest continually held jamboree with an impressive 76-year history. Blair Athol is special because scouts from different countries camp in small groups together, providing a unique opportunity to get to know other young people from around the world, break down barriers, and build new friendships. Some 15 countries, including Austria, Canada, Iceland, Namibia, Gibraltar and Japan, will link up with scouts from Scotland at the 10-day biennial camp. It returns after a 4-year hiatus due to COVID-19 pandemic, and it will be providing much needed opportunities of social and personal development for the teenagers involved, a key group who were impacted by the restrictions the pandemic necessitated. During the camp, the scouts prepared in a range of adventurous and culturally diverse activities. There are over 50 different activities this year, including photography, a custom-made high ropes course, Blair's Got Rhythm, and mountain biking. With over 1,800 people on site, including volunteers, for the duration of the camp, it will be the largest catering establishment in Perthshire at the time. Dr. Colin Peters, the volunteer camp chief, said, "We are incredibly proud and excited to welcome our many international friends to Scotland again this year after a 4-year absence. As Scouts, we believe in preparing young people with skills for life. We encourage them to do more, learn more and be more. The Jamboree is a real opportunity for Scouts from across the world to have fun and adventure in the great outdoors while developing the skills they need to succeed. They'll build on their team working, leadership and resilience skills, which will give them a fantastic foundation for future wide and varied careers. In the grounds of Blair Athol Castle, new friendships will be formed and old friendships rekindled. Our Scouts will meet other Scouts from across the world and from different backgrounds, giving them a greater understanding of the importance of our place in the global community. The camp has taken place every 2 years in the grounds of Blair Castle since it was founded by Jack Stewart in 1946. The 2020 Jamboree was cancelled due to the pandemic. In its place, volunteers delivered an online international camp at home experience called Blair Everywhere. It is one of a kind. Blair Athol Jamboree is the only camp of its kind in the world. Each patrol of 6 Scottish Scouts holds a patrol of Scouts from another country, providing all the tentage and equipment to allow their new international friends to travel light from overseas. The Scottish and overseas Scouts live and work together as a joint patrol, helping to break down international barriers and foster friendship, tolerance and respect across cultures. Founder Jack Stewart created the term Jamboree to reflect the smaller, more intimate nature of the camp. To find out more about the event, visit www.jamboree.org.uk.
Parents could be on a curfew if they don't pay up. Parents who refuse to pay child maintenance could face curfews as ministers plan new powers for the Child Maintenance Service. The change is being considered as part of fresh proposals that will get more of the money that is owed to the children of separated parents. The CMS collected or arranged £1 billion in child maintenance payments last year, operating as a crucial weapon in the battle against child poverty. Child support payments help lift around 140,000 children out of poverty each year. Curfew orders would be another method of enforcement, alongside current powers which include passport and driver's licence confiscation and earnings deduction orders to tackle parents who continually refuse to pay maintenance that they owe. As an alternative sanction to prison, which is costly and prevents maintenance getting to children, curfews would act as a deterrent by restricting and disrupting non-compliant parents' lifestyles, stopping them, for example, from going out to dinner, to the pub, or going on holiday. The curfews would be monitored by an electronic tag with an electronic monitoring device applying the tag. With an electronic monitoring service applying the tag, monitoring and making sure the parent complies with the rules of the tag. If parents fail to comply, the CMS would be able to refer them back to court, which might then extend the curfew or impose a prison sentence. DWP Lords Minister Baroness Stedman Scott said, "For children in low-income households, maintenance payments can make all the difference, lifting them out of poverty. We are not afraid to go after those parents who deliberately and repeatedly refuse to pay for their children. Curfew orders are another step towards providing the CMS with a full arsenal of powers to make sure children get the financial support they need to have the best start in life. This builds on new powers introduced earlier this year to digitise all communications to parents and improvements to help the service trace the paying parent, calculate maintenance and enforce arrears. Available at www.gov.uk/government/consultations. It closes on August 12th.
Big Scottish Lift Up. British Weightlifting and SSAFA, the Armed Forces charity, have partnered to create a unique event to benefit the Armed Forces community in Scotland. The Big Scottish Lift Up is open to everyone, civilian, veteran or serving military, male and female. Competitors must film themselves making up to 3 attempts at the snatch and clean and jerk, then upload them to the competition webpage. Those taking part must register interest at britishweightlifting.org/competitions/British-Open-Series by July the 29th and pay a registration fee of £20 to BWL, £15 of which goes directly to SSAFA. Competitors are encouraged to each raise at least £60 in donations via Enthuse to help SSAFA continue its work for serving personnel, veterans and their families. Entries must be submitted by August the 12th.
Young women rise up to make their voices heard. Report by Julie Curry. A new campaign has been launched to raise awareness of domestic abuse experienced by young women in their intimate relationships. It comes as Scottish Women's Aid, SWA, and the Young Women's Movement Scotland, YWCA, released the RISE report, which found that 36% of young women had been in an intimate relationship with someone who harmed them physically or emotionally. It also makes a number of recommendations for how specialist support services can better meet the needs of young women experiencing abuse. The research was carried out by YWCA with Young Women Rise, a group of 10 young women from across Scotland, some of whom have lived experience of domestic abuse in their own relationships. They found that, while young women understood what healthy and unhealthy relationships looked like, not a single participant felt well supported to learn about relationships or domestic abuse at school. Young women reported wishing they had been taught about emotional abuse and other toxic behaviours at school, which could have helped them recognise abuse earlier in their relationships. Gabrielle Blackburn, SWA Service Development Coordinator, said, "The Women's Aid Network is united in wanting to tackle the issue of abuse in young women's intimate relationships. We know how hard it can be for them to get the support they need, and we want to make it easier. This report tells us that we are providing the right type of support, non-judgmental, survivor-led, and inclusive. It also shows where we can be better. The Women's Aid Network will use this research to improve how we promote our services to young women and girls so that they know Women's Aid are here for them and so they really understand how to reach out to us when they feel ready. We are thankful to the young feminists and Young Women Rise who led in this work for their commitment, their enthusiasm and their ideas. Their research will help us make sure we are better able to welcome all young women who require support around domestic abuse." Rihanna Malia, Research and Impact Manager at YWCA, added, "It was a privilege to work with Young Women Rise on this important research. We were able to gather rich and nuanced data because of the input into the design of this project." This report and campaign are a call to action. Support services need more funding and resources to better cater to the needs of young women and non-binary people dealing with unhealthy relationships and domestic abuse. Not one participant felt supported to learn about relationships at school. This needs to change. Young women need to be able to recognise signs of abuse, feel validated that they are worthy of support, and know how to access it. YWCA Scotland will continue to engage with young women and non-binary people to amplify their voices. Scotland's Domestic Abuse and Forced Marriage Helpline is available 24/7 for anyone of any gender or sexuality who wants support. Call 0800 027 1234. That's 0800 027 1234. Or access email and web chat at www.sdafmh.org.uk.
£27 million in funding. East Dunbartonshire has received £27.6 million for good causes from the National Lottery funding since 1994, according to new data. So far, a total of £46 billion from the National Lottery has gone towards good causes across the UK in areas such as education, environment, health, arts and sport. Heritage is the sector in Scotland that benefited most from National Lottery grants over the past 28 years, with the latest official government data suggesting this sector received a total of over £903,000. Health, education, environment and charitable expenditure are the second most lottery-funded sectors in Scotland, with over £760,000 worth of sponsorship since 1994. Arts causes are quite a distance behind, benefiting from £505,000 over the past 3 decades.
Opinion. Let's talk. This week's letter page from the Kirkintilloch and Bishopbriggs Herald. Scotland can no more break up the UK than Cornwall can? Sir, the union of Scotland with England and Wales was achieved by agreement and the consent of the respective parliaments, creating a new joint parliament, each separate parliament voting itself out of existence. That must mean that the future of Great Britain, now incorporated into the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, can only be determined by that joint parliament, Westminster. It is already agreed that constitutional matters are reserved to Westminster. They cannot be determined by a part of GB unilaterally. The devolved Scottish Parliament may regard itself as representing a quasi-independent country, but that is illusory. It cannot have the power to break up the UK any more than, say, Cornwall or Yorkshire or even Wales. Consequently, the question of whether or not Scotland should separate from England and Wales can only be determined by the Westminster Parliament, where there are representatives of both former states. So why is the Scottish Government not putting down independence motions at Westminster? Yours, etc., Stuart Campbell, by email. Nicola has been rattled by resurgent Labour. Sir, in her latest Sermon on the Mount on the subject of democracy, Nicola Sturgeon said that when it came to the subject of Scotland's separation from the UK, where the Tories go, Labour often seem obliged to follow in a cynical political calculation. I think it more likely that the harmful effects of any separation are so obvious that Labour find it necessary to oppose it, even if it does allow the SNP to accuse them of being red Tories, which is itself a cynical political calculation by the SNP. She is obviously rattled by the resurgence of Labour in Scotland under Anna Sarwar, because the SNP for many years has been in the wolf in Labour's clothing, and is gradually being stripped and exposed as being an incompetent, one-issue populist government. Yours, etc., Mark Openshaw, address supplied. Starmer's Eurovision is neither fish nor fowl. Sir Keir Starmer has been a huge disappointment as he has yet to offer any clear policies for the future. He is defined by not being Jeremy Corbyn and not being Boris Johnson, but this is setting the bar incredibly low. His vision for Europe appears to be a complete fudge and neither fish nor fowl. He should have pointed out to the pro-Brexit voters that they did not intentionally vote for a lower standard of living, but now that is what is heading our way, according to unbiased experts. To avoid this pain, he should be bold in seeking to rejoin the EU single market and customs union. The single market was Margaret Thatcher's idea and could not be perceived as left-wing. There is consensus in British industry that single market membership would boost our economy. Membership would also solve the Northern Ireland problem, as it would restore a level playing field between the Republic, Northern Ireland and the British mainland. It should be pointed out that 49% opposed Brexit in 2016, and you can be confident that many of those who voted for Brexit had a rude awakening as to the reality of Brexit, so Keir Starmer should be pushing at an open door. Sadly, he always appeared half-hearted in his support for opposing Brexit, so maybe his stance is no surprise. Vincent McCann by email. True cost of liner hub for refugees? Sir, not bothering to match available housing stock with the number of super-sponsor visas issued, the Scottish Government, following initial denials, charters a cruise ship for accommodating displaced Ukrainians. The chance to signal Scottish separatists' moral superiority over English Tories clearly proved irresistible. Expect a first ministerial tour of MS Victoria to pose for selfies with these unfortunate victims of Russian aggression. No doubt it will take a Freedom of Information request to reveal the eventual cost to the taxpayer of funding this floating refugee hub. Yours, etc., Martin O'Gorman. Address supplied. Agriculture still has a poor safety record. Report by Julie Curry. A decade after the first Farm Safety Week campaign, agriculture continues to have the poorest safety record in the UK and Ireland. Over the last year, 25 people have lost their lives on farms, an improvement on last year's total of 41, but one life lost is one too many, according to UK-wide charity Farm Safety Foundation. From July the 18th to 22nd, the foundation will hold its 10th annual Farm Safety Week, a campaign which brings together 5 countries over 5 days with one simple goal: to encourage farmers to make their farms safer places to live and work. It will highlight some of the key issues facing the farming community, spotlight the work being done to drive a change in attitudes, and introduce 10 inspirational farm safety heroes who have worked tirelessly over the past decade to reduce the injury risk for farmers and farming families. Stephanie Barclay, Farm Safety Foundation manager, said, "Despite an improvement in the HSE figures over the past year, these are very sobering statistics. We must remember that these are not just statistics. Behind every fatal notification is a worker, a visitor or a child. We cannot become immune to the impact that each and every death has on farming families and communities across the UK and Ireland. 10 years after our first campaign, we cannot continue to accept that risk-taking is part and parcel of farming. We have to work harder to make it safer." Awareness of farm safety is at an all-time high, with 66% of farmers in the UK, 80% of under 40s, aware of Farm Safety Week, according to NFU Mutual's Voice of the Farmers 2022 survey. Despite this, 25 people lost their lives last year on our farms, so the time has come for action. Sue Thompson, HSE Head of Agriculture, said, "Awareness of the hazards and risks have never been higher, and Farm Safety Week has played its part in this, but it's regrettable that we're not yet seeing the widespread changes in attitude towards safety. Everyone in agriculture has a role to play in making the changes. Together, we can make farming safer." For more on the week, visit www.yellowwellies.org.
£10 million to support summer activities. Thousands of children from low-income families will benefit from free childcare, activities and healthy food as part of a £10 million summer programme. Available to children and young people aged 5 to 14 years old who need it most, the funding has been allocated to local authorities to supplement existing holiday programmes or to develop new ones. Education Secretary Shirley Ann Somerville said, "School holidays can be expensive for families, especially when household bills are soaring. This funding means children and young people who really need it will be able to access coordinated childcare, activities and nutritious food over the summer. They will have opportunities to play, socialise and access activities that broaden their experience and supplement their learning. Support will be targeted at the 6 priority family types at greatest risk of poverty, including lone parent families and families with a disabled adult or child. We have a national mission to tackle child poverty, and along with £21.75 million in funding for alternative holiday food provision for families eligible for free school meals, this offer will provide much needed support over the summer." Councillor Tony Buchanan, COSLA, Children and Young People spokesman, said, "The rising cost of living is exacerbating the already stark and unacceptable reality of poverty in the lives of families and communities. We are pleased this additional funding will enable local authorities to build on their regular summer programmes to enhance opportunities and support for priority groups." Measures to stop an avian flu outbreak. The Scottish SPCA is introducing a temporary policy to minimise the risk of an avian flu outbreak. In response to the spread of the highly pathogenic avian influenza, which has decimated seabird and waterfowl populations in some parts of Scotland, the SSPCA is not admitting wild birds to the centre until further notice. Members of the public are also being urged not to bring any sick or injured birds to the Wildlife Centre or Animal Rescue and Rehoming Centres. SSPCA Chief Superintendent Mike Flynn said, "Avian flu has circulated throughout bird populations globally for almost 2 decades with varying degrees of severity. The current outbreak is far and away the worst in terms of transmission and mortality rates. It has been so sad to see the devastation it has caused, particularly among internationally renowned seabird colonies. This decision is tough but necessary to protect the hundreds of wild birds currently in our care. Our inspectors and animal rescue officers have responded to reports of thousands of birds in need this year, and they will continue to do so. We will do everything we can for every bird we attend to." Scotland's animal welfare charity currently has over 700 birds in its care. Its experts are concerned about the possibility of admitting a bird to the centre with avian influenza. Its incubation period is 2 to 8 days, meaning a bird could be admitted and spend several days in care without displaying symptoms before becoming unwell. Mike added, "We have really robust biosecurity and isolation measures in place, but the sheer scale and rapid spread of this outbreak means we have to take this action."
£500,000 fund for our veterans. Report by Julie Curry. A total of 25 projects will share £500,000 from the Scottish Veterans Fund, more than double the amount awarded last year. Susie Hamilton has also been appointed as a new Veterans Commissioner, the first woman to hold such a post in the UK. She joins from Scottish Veterans Residencies, where she worked as Head of External Relations, to provide housing for former Armed Forces personnel who are homeless or at risk of homelessness. Veterans Secretary Keith Brown said, "I'm pleased to announce that Susie is the new Veterans Commissioner. As a veteran of the Royal Navy, and with extensive experience working in the third sector helping homeless former military personnel, she is already a great champion for our veterans." Scotland has had a Veterans Commissioner since 2014, with the primary role to improve outcomes for veterans in Scotland by engaging and listening to the experience of former members of the armed forces. The first-hand experience Susie will bring to the role is going to ensure our veterans continue to get the best support and representation possible. Of her new role, Susie said, "I look forward to building on the work of the previous commissioners to continue improving support, opportunities and outcomes for Scotland's veterans community. Through serving in the Royal Navy and working with veterans, I know how much they and their families have to offer, and I will be focused on highlighting the remarkable contribution they make to society." This year's Scottish Veterans Fund has more than doubled, from £200,000 last year to £500,000 this year, supporting 14 projects across the country. They include a £50,000 grant to RFEA, the Forces Employment Charity, to ensure that early service leavers are provided with the support they need. £50,000 to the Venture Trust, which offers a range of therapeutical approaches and clinical counselling in outdoor spaces. £50,000 to Walking with the Wounded to hire a trained employment advisor, and £30,000 for Veterans Chaplaincy Scotland to hire 17 new trained volunteers.
Could your team meet the Eggheads? Teams of quizzers from Scotland are being sought by 12 Yard Productions, which is currently casting for a new series of Eggheads. Hosted by Jeremy Vine, the popular TV show dares teams from all over the country to take on Britain's greatest quizzers and scramble them. Teams can be made up of family, friends or colleagues. Maybe you've quizzed before, or this could be your first time putting a team together. Each team must consist of 4 team players and 1 standby. Apply online today by completing the entry form at itv.ag/ITV/ITV12yard/eggheads3/welcome.html or visit the website www.12yard.com. Before completing the form, teams must go through the eligibility requirements, terms and conditions, privacy notices, and other formalities. The closing date for returning application forms is midnight on August 5th.
District News, Churches. Springfield Cambridge Church. Morning worship on Sunday, July the 24th will be led by Reverend Gordon Mackenzie at 11 a.m. in the sanctuary. The summer Sunday school will meet in room 2. The creche will be happy to look after your child, birth to 3 years, in room 2. Morning worship is also being live streamed on the Springfield Cambridge Church YouTube channel. A link to this can be found on the Springfield Cambridge Church website, www.springfieldcambridge.org.uk, and Facebook page, where up-to-date information about events and church organisations can also be found. Tea and coffee are available after the service in the Cameron Hall. Come along and enjoy the fellowship. There will be no vestry hour on Wednesday, July the 20th, from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. There will be no short weekly service of worship in the Springfield Chapel on Wednesday, July the 20th, from 11:10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Kirkintilloch Church of God. The usual Sunday Good News service at Regent Hall, Regent Street, has been postponed for the time being. We are still continuing our Zoom services on Sunday evenings at 6:30 p.m. The speaker this Sunday will be Michael Johnson. A warm welcome to everyone who is able to join us on Zoom. Access details for the stream can be obtained by emailing hello@regenthall.org. For up-to-date and further information on our services, visit our website on www.regenthall.org. The Bible says, "We have to put our hope in the living God, who is the Saviour of all men, and especially of those who believe." 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 10. St David's Memorial Park Church. At St David's Memorial Park Church, our morning service on July the 24th will be at our usual time of 10:30 a.m. and will be led by our Church of Scotland reader, John Nicholson. During our morning worship, school-aged children will have the opportunity to go through to our halls for their own time of fun and learning with jam. All are welcome to attend our service. There are some COVID measures still in place. However, the wearing of face masks is not mandatory at this time. We look forward to welcoming you to the church. Our Thursday lunchtime service has now come to an end after the summer months. Further information on when these resume will be given at a later date. Lenzie Church of Scotland. Joint summer services, Sunday worship on July the 24th, July the 31st and August the 7th will be at Lenzie Union Parish Church, read by Reverend Dan Carmichael. All services start at 11 a.m. St James Church, Hilton Road, Bishopbriggs. Rector Reverend Canon Paul Watson, 0141 230 4080. The church is now open for socially distanced services. Face masks are personal choice. There is a communion service on Thursday at 11 a.m. and on Sunday, July the 24th at 9 a.m. in the chapel and 10:30 a.m. in the church. Everyone is welcome to come along to any of these services. Do stay on for tea or coffee and fellowship afterwards. The Meditation Labyrinth is still available in the car park for a mindful walk round. There are also other virtual services and groups. For up-to-date and further information, refer to our social media, Facebook, St James the Less, Bishopbriggs, website, www.stjamesbishopbriggs.org.uk. St Columba's Hillhead Church. St Columba's and Hillhead churches have now united to form St Columba's Hillhead Church, with services, groups and activities continuing at both sites. Do join us for our Sunday morning service at St Columba's at a new earlier time of 10 a.m, or at Hillhead at 11:30 a.m. Tea, coffee and juice will be served after the service at St Columba's and before the service at Hillhead. We'd be really glad to have you join with us. If you can't come to a service in person, you can still connect with us by live stream from St Columba's via www.kirkintillochstcolumbus.org.uk or by searching for St Columba's Kirkintilloch on YouTube. Reverend Philip Wright, Minister, St Columba's Hillhead Church, Oldale Road, Kirkintilloch, G66 3HQ, and 2 Rosebank Avenue, Kirkintilloch, G66 2PR. P. Wright at churchofscotland.org.uk. Mobile 07427 623 393. Kenmure Parish Church. This Sunday we'll look forward to welcoming back the Reverend Susan Anderson to lead our morning service beginning at 11 a.m. The service will be followed by a time of fellowship, teas and coffees in the hall. The wearing of masks will leave to personal choice throughout the sanctuary. The service will be live streamed on YouTube and can be found by searching for Kenmure Bishopbriggs. Details of all of our groups that are currently running may be found on website kenmure-church.co.uk. To find us on Facebook, just search for Kenmure Parish Church. If you would like to join our WhatsApp group or receive the Bible studies from ABC, then email us at kenmurechurch@icloud.com. Milton of Campsie Church. We are back in the building. No need to book. If you sit in the centre aisle, there is no need to wear a mask. If you sit in the side aisles, please wear one. After joining with Campsie Church this Sunday, we continue on Sunday with our summer sermon series entitled Action Stations. Our station will be Corinth, where Paul earned his living making tents. Send a pic of yourself in a tent. The phone number for a dial-in service, which enables you to hear our Sunday service, just dial 01360 545 345. Time to pray does not meet until August 17, but please continue to pray at home. The Go Mad prayer guide will be available on Sunday. UR Aid, our Ukrainian family have now arrived. Send the UR Aid donation box in the church. We're also exploring other ways of helping. If you'd like to be involved, contact Phyllis on 07582 713 463. Go Mad planning is now underway. Planning meeting on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Please see Phyllis for more info. 07583 713 463. Go Mad take place in Milton of Campsie from July the 30th to August 11th. Look out for more details. Now only 2 weeks to go. Torrens Parish Church. You are assured of a warm welcome at our morning service at 10:30 a.m. and during the school holidays there will be a holiday Sunday school. The cafe is closed and will reopen at 9 a.m. on Wednesday, August 17. To join the service online, click www.torrensparishchurch.online.church. To find out what's on, check the website at www.tpc.org.uk. Home Church, Scotland. One church, home church, 5 locations, Kirkintilloch, Glasgow, North Coast, Northern Ireland, Stornoway, and online. A church for all ages. 10 a.m. prayer time. 10:30 a.m. fellowship, tea and coffee available. 11 a.m. worship service, including communion, and children's church, followed by tea and coffee. The Sunday evening service in Renfield Church Centre is cancelled for July. However, a minibus will pick up people from the centre on Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. and bring them to home church for the 11 a.m. service. Wednesdays, study groups are taking a break in July and August. See Facebook and Instagram for up-to-date information for July and August. Cadder Parish Church. We look forward to welcoming you this Sunday to our service at 10:30 a.m. Come and join us and be blessed in the ambience of Cadder Parish Church, down beside the Forth and Clyde Canal. Children meet in the church prior to the service, and then go up to Cadder North Hall for their activities. Early Fellowship meets in the South Hall Chapel at 9:30am on Thursday for half an hour with Reverend John McGregor, and also available on Tuesday and Thursday for Zoom. For any further information, please contact the minister on 07387 851 020. District News General. Fun-loving Kai needs a love. Animal welfare experts are appealing for a home for 5-year-old Kai, a fun-loving lurcher currently staying at the Dogs Trust in West Calder. Kai is a friendly dog who loves being the centre of attention. He makes friends easily and can't resist cuddles from his family. An active boy, he loves his daily walks and will hop into the car to go on new adventures. A real foodie, he enjoys playing treat-based games and sniffing out tasty snacks. As Kai loves company, he would like for someone to be at home. His ideal new home would have a private garden where he can run around and play. An affectionate boy, Kai would be a fantastic member of an active family. If you could give Kai a home, call on 01506 873 459. Amy Callaghan MP. Vote for a different future for Scots. MP's view. You could almost hear the collective sigh of relief when Boris Johnson finally, albeit reluctantly, announced his resignation as Prime Minister. It was expected to be the closing chapter on a sordid and protracted exit from office that should have come months earlier. Fast forward, and even post-resignation, Johnson has committed to indefensible and blocked an opposition motion of no confidence in the government and his leading of it. The absurdity of democracy being denied by a PM who has resigned yet remains on, squatting in 10 Downing Street. In Scotland, we now face the reality of a fourth successive Tory Prime Minister we didn't vote for. Even the supposed successes of Johnson's government, such as the vaccine rollout, were mired in sleaze and corruption. At a recent count, the UK government had awarded at least £1.5 billion of taxpayers' money in COVID contract to companies linked to the Tory party. This will not be a government remembered for making the right choices in tough circumstances, as Johnson would like to maintain, but rather one that looked to profit from our misfortunes, that attempted to rip up international treaties, and one that saw no problem with undermining human rights. As we face the prospect of yet another Tory Prime Minister we didn't vote for, can we expect any of the candidates to improve life in Scotland? It doesn't have to be this way. Independence gives Scotland the chance of a different future, not just a different Prime Minister. By Amy Callaghan MP. Amy was elected as Member of Parliament for East Dunbartonshire in December 2019. She has previously worked for 4 years as Office Manager to Rona Mackay, MSP for Strathkelvin and Bearsden, where she gained a wealth of experience in policy and campaigns and developed considerable knowledge of the issues facing residents in East Dunbartonshire. You can contact her by telephoning 0141 286 4086, via email at amy.callahan.mp@parliament.uk, or by writing to her at the House of Commons, London, SW1A 0AA. For further information and details about Amy's campaigns and news, please visit her Facebook page at www.amycallahan.scot. Butterfly Count. Butterfly Conservation launches this year's Big Butterfly Count with a warning that time is running out to help save species. Wildlife charity Butterfly Conservation are today urging the whole nation to help Britain's butterflies by taking part in the Big Butterfly Count. Butterfly Conservation revealed in May that half of Britain's remaining butterfly species are now on the red list and threatened with near threatened with extinction. Last year's Big Butterfly Count saw the lowest ever number of butterflies recorded. As butterflies and moths are an important indicator of the health of our environment, a reduction in their numbers is cause for serious concern. However, taking part in the Big Butterfly Count is one really positive way that everyone can help. The information gathered is vital in helping scientists understand more about what is happening to the nation's butterflies, and therefore put in place the conservation measures needed to protect them. In recent years, butterfly conservation has helped save 2 species from extinction in the UK and halted the decline of many others. The charity has proved that, with the right information and targeted action, species can be brought back from the brink. Dr. Zoe Randall, Senior Surveys Officer at Butterfly Conservation, says, "Thanks to the wonderful British public, who take part in their thousands, the Big Butterfly Count is the largest natural history citizen service project involving insects in the world, and provides us with a valuable snapshot of what is happening for butterflies across the whole of the UK. It can act as an early warning system, letting us know how various environmental changes are impacting insects, and allows us to gather vital data from places that would otherwise be totally unrecorded. With the numbers of butterflies in decline, learning as much as possible about them is more important than ever." Zoe adds, "We really need people's help this year to help us figure out where our butterflies are and what we need to do to save them. It's not just the rare species of butterfly, the ones with restricted habitat or food plants, that we are concerned about. Some of our previously commonly seen butterflies, like the small tortoiseshell, are also declining rapidly. The small tortoiseshell, which can be found all over the UK and was once a familiar species in gardens throughout the country, has declined by 79% since 1976. It is one of the species included in the Big Butterfly Count, and butterfly conservation hope that the data from citizen scientists will mean more can be understood about its fate. Taking part in the Big Butterfly Count is not only good for butterflies, it's good for humans too." Dr. Amir Khan, Butterfly Conservation Ambassador, is one of a number of famous faces supporting the Big Butterfly Count. He says, "Spending time in nature is hugely beneficial to our mental health. Just a short amount of time spent in the natural world can alleviate stress, and continuing with nature can help us to feel happier and more energised. Watching butterflies for just 15 minutes can be a wonderful and calming experience. It is good for you as well as benefiting butterflies by helping butterfly conservation gather the important data they need to understand how better protect these special insects. It is truly a win-win situation for all of us." Goats in need of a new home. Jean and Billy are 2 goats looking to trot off to their new home together. They are in the care of the Scottish SPCA Edinburgh and Lothians Animal Rescue and Rehoming Centre. This mother and son pair have lived with other goats previously and could do so again. They would love an enclosed space with plenty of grass and things to climb on. Within this area, they will need a shelter from the ever-changing Scottish weather. Jean is a chatty, friendly girl who likes to say hello, whereas Billy is a little more reserved, but finds anyone with food worthy of investigating. If you can help, please go to the Scottish SPCA website at www.scottishspca.org.
Family announcements. Read by Corey. Deaths. Anderson, Alan. Peacefully on July 6th, 2022, in Helensburgh. Beloved husband of Anne, much loved father of Graham and Rosalind, father-in-law of Nick, and loving grandfather of Austin and Finlay. Funeral service at Cardross Crematorium on Thursday, July 21st at 2:15 p.m. Family flowers only, please. Robertson, Bill. Suddenly, on July 10th, 2022, Bill, beloved husband of the late Eleanor, loving dad to Angela and Brad, father-in-law to Ken and Linda, devoted and proud papa to Fraser, Jenna, Scott, Sarah and Charlotte, and great papa to Lewis and Natalia. Funeral service to take place at Daldowie Crematorium on Wednesday, July 20th, 2022 at 10:45 a. m. Family flowers only, please. Robertson, George. Sadly, at Glasgow Royal Infirmary on July 11th, 2022. George, loving husband of Kathleen and father of Gerard, Stephen and Kathleen, fond grandad to Anna, Cara, Connor and Leo. Funeral Mass will take place at Holy Family and St Ninian's Church on Monday the 25th of July at 10 a.m. and thereafter to Old Isle Cemetery, New Part at 11 a.m. RIP. Still work to do for Rabs. An article written by Brian Yule and read by Corey. Kirkintilloch Rob Roy manager Stuart Maxwell says there is still work to do despite remaining unbeaten in pre-season. His side travelled to Kilmarnock on Saturday to record a 3-2 win over Bonnyton Thistle, making it 3 wins and a draw for the 4 friendlies so far. Maxwell said, quote, "That was our 4th game on Saturday, and we are still trying to mix new faces in with the rest of the squad. Obviously, I'm satisfied to remain unbeaten, but we're not where I want us to be. Bonnyton should have been an easier win than it proved to be, so there's still quite a lot of work to do. However, I am confident that with more game time under our belts, that we will be ready by the time we travel to Hurlsford for the opening day of the season." Meanwhile, Rosvale were away to Dalbeattie Star on Saturday, with a friendly requiring water breaks in the blazing Galway sun. Rossvale ran out a 4-1 winners as the new look squad continues to take shape. The club have been busy bringing in new faces as ex-St Roch's Petershall midfielder Jason Elliott, ex-Arthule and Furwood midfielder Rhys Cridge, and ex-Renfrew and Albion Rovers defender Lewis Guy, who grabbed one of the goals against Dalbeattie, coming on the board in last week. West Park United's good pre-season continued on Saturday with a comprehensive 4-0 win against Ashfield. However, the result was marred by a broken arm being suffered by Kenny Jarvis after what was described as an innocuous fall. A club spokesperson said, quote, "We wish Kenny a speedy recovery and wish Ashfield all the best for the season ahead." Petershill have endured a tricky pre-season as they lost 1-0 to Ashfield last week, and they saw their matches on Saturday and Monday with East Kilbride, Thistle and Saltcoats Victoria respectively postponed. The senior team at St Cadoc's was able to step in at late notice on Saturday as the sides played out a 1-1 draw at New Tinto Park. Petershill under-21s on the lookout for players born 2001 to 2003, and anyone interested can call Jimmy on 077 37 966 203. That's Jimmy on 077 37 966 203, or Kenny on 07399 405 155. Again, that's Kenny on 07399 405 155. Training takes place on a Monday night at Petershill FC and on Thursday at Greenfield. That article written by Brian Yule. Balmore Pro wins Roxbury. Balmore Golf Club professional James Wilson has won the 7th event at this year's Golf Breaks Get Back to Golf Tour, which was played at the Roxbury in the Scottish Borders. Wilson's 5 under par 67 was enough to win by a single shot from fellow professionals Ryan Campbell and Michael Stewart. He said, "I played really nicely and hit 4 wedges inside 4 feet to record birdies for them all. Despite shooting 5 under, it was frustrating not to birdie any of the par 5s. The Roxburgh is definitely one of the best inland courses in the country and a great challenge for different levels of players. This wee tour is also brilliant. The flexibility of the format means you can get together with friends you might not see often and have more relaxed but still competitive game, with the chance of a nice payoff if it goes well. After finishing 6th at the Roxbury, Jordan Brown of Drummoyne Golf Centre now leads the Order of Merit by 3.5 points from professional John Gallagher. The top 6 pros and the top 6 amateurs from the end of season Order of Merit will compete at the grand final at Dumbartonshire Links in Leven in October. Wilson is currently second top amongst the professionals and 6th overall, with 56.5 points after playing in 4 of the 7 events. The 8th event on the tour is currently underway at Deer Park Golf and Country Club in Livingston and runs until Sunday. Tigers can still push pole close if sides meet again. Cammy Brown believes Glasgow can still push pole close in the playoffs if the sides meet again, despite defeat in Dorset. The Tigers failed to build an opening heat 5-1 courtesy of Daniel Hume and Craig Cook to lose 51-39 on Wednesday. The result moves the third place Pirates to within a point of second placed Glasgow as the sides battle to make the SGB Championship top 2 and seal an automatic place in the playoff semi-finals. They could face each other in a matter of weeks in those playoffs, and Tigers boss Brown believes his men can force a different outcome. He said it was a tough track tonight. Whoever was leading off bend 2 won most of the time. Craig Cook had a couple of passes beyond that point, but he has good experience. Despite that, it is a disappointment we couldn't come away with a point after the good start we had with the 5-1. Ben Basso couldn't get the bike working at all on his former track and had a poor night. We can't afford for 2 or 3 riders to have an off night against a team as strong as Pole. However, I don't think we'll be as poor in the playoffs. Pole drew at our place, but they haven't been to our track for a while, and we've had recent experience on theirs, and I'm confident we could give them a better match over 2 legs next time. Glasgow now takes a break from league business for a few weeks, as they take part in the Summer Jubilee League, which sees the sides split into Scottish, Northern and Southern sections. The first match was at home to Berwick on Friday, where the Bandits were led by spectacular former Grand Prix star Chris Bomber Harrison, who is in red-hot form this season. Brown added, "Bomber is flying at the moment, and anyone who has watched our own Ben Basso at our place knows he is worth the admission alone. It's the school holidays, it's a new competition, and fans are seeing some tremendous riders. The pressure isn't off. The boys will still take it 100% seriously, and we want to do well in this tournament." City agree 2-year deal for Colville. Glasgow City are delighted to announce Eofe Colville has agreed a new 2-year deal with the club. The 21-year-old joined City in February 2020 and has made 39 appearances in all competitions, scoring 20 goals. Colville was part of the side that won the Scottish Women's Premier League in the 2020-21 season and featured in 14 matches last season, where she found the net 11 times. Born in Australia, Colville won her first cap for the Republic of Ireland in June 2021. Commenting on the new deal, Colville said, quote, "I'm delighted to sign an extension at Glasgow City. It has been my home away from home, so I'm glad to be staying another 2 years and hopefully can help contribute to more success at the club." Colville will also be taking a role within the Glasgow City Foundation for the first half of the 2022-23 season, whilst recovering from ACL injury. The Glasgow City Foundation runs the academy at the club, along with being the heart of the community projects. Commenting on the role, Colville said, quote, "Whilst recovering from an injury, I have been given the opportunity to work with the Glasgow City Foundation. I am really excited for this challenge and hopefully get to explore some new skills away from training." Glasgow City will begin the 2022-23 season with a match against Spartans at Petershill Park on Sunday, August 7th. The first away game will be a trip to Motherwell the following Sunday. The final 10 matches following the split will be announced after match day 22 on March 12th.
Thank you for listening to this week's Kirkintilloch Herald podcast, brought to you by Q Review, print speaking to the blind. If you've any feedback, you're welcome to call us on 0141 772 3976. If you enjoyed this recording, feel free to subscribe to our channel.